bill. Not simply an assault on the economy, a broken promise. It's an assault on the health care of the American people. You see, as Democrats, we believe in this country, health care is not simply a privilege. Health care is a right. And from Medicare to Medicaid to the passage of the Affordable Care Act and subsequently enhancing it, we've begun to move America to a place where every single person in this land could have access to the health care that they need to live a life of dignity and respect. At this moment in America, we have the lowest rate of uninsured people in our nation's history. But this GOP tax scam will reverse that with this assault on health care, the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. And here's what it will mean for the American people. Children will get hurt. Women will get hurt. Older Americans who rely on Medicaid for nursing home care and for home care will get hurt. People with disabilities who rely on Medicaid to survive will get hurt. Hospitals in your districts will close. Nursing homes will shut down. And people will die. That's not hype. That's not hyperbole. That's not a hypothetical. The people that you all represent have been writing to us to make that clear. Thousands of people who've written to us, everyday Americans, have made that clear. And let me just present a few of those stories into the record. I have type 1 diabetes and was diagnosed when I was 7 years old. I've had jobs with private insurance in the past, but I lost my job during the pandemic. With childcare becoming a major challenge, it made more sense for me to stay home with the kids, but that also meant losing my health benefits. Right now, we're all on Medicaid. It's crucial for me to stay alive and healthy. I need insulin and supplies to manage my diabetes every single day. Without it, I could die. That's Shauna, who lives in Arizona's 6th Congressional District. My youngest son has leukemia. He was a self-employed handyman, and therefore he didn't have sufficient insurance. When the cancer became more debilitating, he could no longer work. He has undergone radiation, stem cell transplant, and then more radiation. He is still fighting the cancer, and without Medicaid and the fine physicians, he would surely die. That's Greg, who lives in the 8th Congressional District of Colorado. As a cancer survivor with chronic illnesses, I rely heavily on Medicaid and food stamps to get by. Without these essential programs, people like me would suffer. I'm currently taking expensive medication to stay in remission, but my condition and the side effects of my treatment make it impossible for me to work. Unfortunately, my work history also disqualifies me from receiving Social Security benefits. I'm not alone in my dependence on these Medicaid and food stamps benefits. Children, elders, and many others who are sick or struggling also rely on them to survive. I urge you to do the right thing for the people you represent. Without food stamps and Medicaid, the consequences would be painful and even deadly. That's Jalissa, who had a message for her representative in Pennsylvania's 8th Congressional District. What we're here to say, as House Democrats, to Shauna, to Greg, and to Jalissa, that if your representatives won't fight for you, we will. We will. We will. If they won't fight for you, we will fight for you, for your health care, for your decency, for your well-being, for your grace, and for your dignity. Now, in addition to visiting the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, that's not enough for the MAGA extremists. CBO has independently confirmed that this one big, ugly bill will also set in motion a $490 billion cut to Medicare in this country. Now, unfortunately, that should come as no surprise, because we know that our Republican colleagues for decades have been trying to attack Social Security, as they're doing right now, not necessarily in this bill. Why? Because the 1974 Budget Control Act prevents you from doing it. But you've been going after Social Security for a long time, going after Medicare for a long time, and Elon Musk, who seems to function as your puppet master, has made clear his intentions, which you just follow as if you work for him. Elon Musk wants to take a chainsaw to Social Security, a chainsaw to Medicare, as you're doing in this bill, a chainsaw to Medicaid, as you're doing in this bill. Here's our message to you and the American people: no matter how long it takes, House Democrats are going to take a chainsaw to Project 2025, because it's not in the best interests of the American people. And what this bill represents is your effort to try to put into law Project 2025. You acted like you didn't know anything about it. This is why you have no credibility right now. You spent all of last year lying to the American people, saying to them that you were going to lower the high cost of living. In fact, you're doing the exact opposite. At the same period of time, you acted like you knew nothing about Project 2025, and this bill is an effort to try to implement it into law. So, you mentioned credibility issues. I think it exists on the right side of this chamber. Now, not only have you gone after Medicaid, not only have you gone after Medicare, in this,
you are to direct your comments to the chair.
Mr. Speaker, you know what's interesting is that every time I've come on this floor, I can use sharp language, he can use sharp language. You choose to admonish me. I don't work for you, sir. I work for the American people.
I understand. House will be in order. As I said, Mr. Leader, we've been very patient. Just listen to the majority leader of the other side who directed all of his comments to the chair. It is important for the decorum of the institution for you to do the same. You may proceed.
We can continue this.
You may proceed.
And every time I'm interrupted, that's going to add another 15 minutes to my remarks.
Fair enough.
Mr. Speaker. So what we've seen is the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, an effort to devastate Medicare. And of course, what this bill also does is strip away some of the coverage provided by the Affordable Care Act. Millions of people will lose their coverage as a result of this GOP tax scam. And so when you aggregate the assault on health care that's taking place, what we're likely to see is at least 13.7 million people are going to lose their health care in the United States of America. That's what we're fighting for. That's why we're a no, amongst several other reasons, on this bill. It's an assault on the economy, an assault on health care. It's also an assault on nutritional assistance. Now, in the 1960s, the American people were shaken up and disturbed by images that they saw after some investigations exposed the conditions of some people in America who were dealing with intense hunger in rural America, in under-resourced communities, in communities of color. Images of children with distended bellies, families rummaging through garbage in order to find food so they wouldn't starve. That's what eventually led to the creation of what is now the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. Because the American people concluded that in this great country, not a single child should ever go hungry. That's our position. Apparently, it's not the position of my Republican colleagues. Because in this bill, SNAP, the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, will experience more than $300 billion in cuts, the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history. Literally, Mr. Speaker, Republicans are taking food out of the mouths of children, disabled Americans, veterans, and older Americans. That is another reason why we are strongly opposed to this bill. This is the United States of America, the wealthiest country in the history of the world. It is indecent to rip food out of the mouths of children and everyday Americans. It is indecent. And to make matters worse, we know that as a result of this bill, according to an analysis from the Urban Institute, there are 18 million children in this country who are at risk of losing school meals. Decade after decade after decade in America, we've made great progress. That progress, as it relates to alleviating hunger and food insecurity, is now at risk of being rolled back. And one of the excuses that I'm sure we'll hear from the speaker of this institution is that this one big ugly bill is all about waste, fraud, and abuse. It's interesting because month after month after month, we continue to hear that phrase, and let's be clear, as Democrats, we believe in trying to make sure that federal taxpayer dollars are spent in an efficient and an effective way. We're all for that, but that's not what's being done in this bill. No evidence of waste, fraud, and abuse has been presented in a compelling way. In fact, you know what's interesting? You're talking about taking away nutritional benefits that amount to $2 per meal, $6 per day. At the same time, when Elon Musk and his federal contracts are worth $8 million a day. If you're trying to find waste, fraud, and abuse, I have a suggestion. Start right there. Start right there. Don't take food from the mouths of our children. Start right there. And so, it's one big ugly bill. It's GOP tax scam. It's reckless Republican budget. It's an assault on the economy. It's an assault on health care. It's an assault on nutritional benefits. It's also an assault on tax fairness. I mean, here's the thing, that it's the largest cut to health care in American history, coupled by the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history, in order to enact the largest tax breaks for billionaires in American history. That's unacceptable, that's unconscionable, and that's un-American. That's un-American. Because my Republican colleagues promised that they would actually focus their efforts on trying to make life better for everyday Americans. But disproportionately, the benefits of this bill, as confirmed by independent observers, don't go to those who may be at the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum. They actually go disproportionately to those at the highest end of the economic spectrum. CBO analysis requested by Congressman Boyle and myself just confirmed that. Not hype, not hyperbole, not a hypothetical. It's what will happen if this one big ugly bill became law. And so it's an assault on tax fairness. And of course, that's coupled with the assault on fiscal responsibility. It's ironic to me that many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle claim to be the party of fiscal responsibility. But as Richie Neal has often eloquently articulated, that's not what the record shows. The record shows something very different. And this fiscal irresponsibility that comes from the other side of the aisle is actually connected to the obsession with massive tax cuts for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected. We've seen this rinse and repeat scenario play itself out over and over and over again. President Reagan comes into office, and what is his signature domestic priority? His signature domestic priority, massive tax cuts for the super wealthy. And as a result, he escalates the debt and the deficit. Those policies, of course, are continued by his successor, President George H.W. Bush. But then President Clinton takes office, and in his 8 years, turns a deficit into a budget surplus. That's fiscal responsibility. And then after 8 years in office, President Clinton is replaced by President George W. Bush, who proceeds to follow the same playbook. You used to call it trickle-down economics. The American people aren't buying it because they figured out what trickle-down economics means. We may get a trickle, but we're guaranteed to stay down. And that's what's happened over and over and over again. So President Bush comes into office, and what does he do? Massive tax cuts for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected. The 2001 tax cuts, the 2003 tax cuts turned a budget surplus into a massive deficit, and then further exacerbated the problem with a failed war in Iraq and a failed war in Afghanistan, asleep at the switch as it related to the economy, which resulted in the Great Recession. So President Obama takes office to once again demonstrate what fiscal responsibility is all about. And in 8 years, takes the deficit that he inherited of $1.5 trillion and cuts it by $1 trillion, notwithstanding the economic mess that he inherited, having to dig the country out of the Great Recession. And then, of course, after 8 years of President Obama, which brings us to the current administration in its first term, as my colleague from Louisiana talked about, what's your signature legislative accomplishment? The 2017 version of the GOP tax scam, where by some estimates, 83% of the benefits were set in motion for the wealthiest 1%, and you borrowed more than $2 trillion to do it. Once again, exploding the debt and the deficit in the United States of America. President Biden comes into office in his first 2 years, notwithstanding all of the signature accomplishments, many of which did have some bipartisan support, particularly in the Senate, significant accomplishments led by President Biden, Speaker Pelosi, Democrats in the House partnering with our colleagues in the Senate. Notwithstanding all of those accomplishments, reduces the deficit in his first 2 years by $1.7 trillion. That's what fiscal responsibility looks like. So we're not going to be lectured on this issue. And then my colleagues have the nerve to talk about fiscal responsibility, to try to pass a bill that disproportionately benefits their billionaire donors like Elon Musk, and will add to the debt more than $5 trillion. That's an assault on fiscal responsibility. That is forcing our children and our grandchildren, all of them, to shoulder an unnecessary burden that will limit their ability to fully experience the American dream. And so that's why we oppose this bill. An assault on the economy, an assault on health care, an assault on nutritional assistance, including on our veterans, an assault on tax fairness, and an assault on fiscal responsibility. As I close, let me make one other observation. I do believe that there are people of faith on both sides of this chamber. Authentically, people of faith on both sides of this chamber. I'm not one to question anyone's faith. But I do think we have to ask the question, particularly when you study the gospel, and the gospel in particular of Matthew 25 and 35 through 40, where Jesus talks about the importance of standing up for the least, the lost, the left behind, the poor, the sick, the afflicted, the homeless, the people who are confined, strangers in a foreign land. That when you know the gospel, when you are charged with trying to live the gospel, it cannot be the case that one goes to synagogue, or one goes to the mosque, or one goes to church, as I do, but one goes to church to pray on Sunday, and then comes to Washington, D.C. to pray on the American people the rest of the week. P-R-E-Y. Can't pray on the poor, pray on the sick, pray on the afflicted, pray on our children, pray on people with disabilities, pray on our veterans who serve this country, and project that that is consistent with the faith that I at least know, anchored in Matthew 25 and 35. So, Mr. Speaker, I think this, in some ways, is a sad day here for this institution. James Madison, one of our great thinkers, I believe it was in Federalist 51, talks about Congress at its best should function as a rival to the executive branch, serve as a check and balance on the out-of-control impulses of an executive that may emerge from time to time. Congress, according to James Madison, at its best, would serve as a rival to the executive branch. But unfortunately, our House Republican colleagues haven't followed the vision of this Madisonian version of democracy, because you have consistently proven to be nothing more than a rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda. And the American people are paying attention. The American people are paying attention. So I think that when the story is told of the 119th Congress, when the votes are ultimately cast on that first Tuesday in November next year, that this day may very well turn out to be the day that House Republicans lost control of the United States House of Representatives. Because the American people are paying attention. They are smarter than you think, and they know when they are being hurt. They know when their interests are not being served, and they know when they have been lied to and deceived. You see, they know that Congress was meant to be a separate and co-equal branch of government. We don't work for President Trump. We don't work for J.D. Vance. We don't work for Elon Musk. We work for the American people. That's what House Democrats are all about. And because we work for the American people, we will continue to stand up for an economy that's affordable and makes life better for hardworking American taxpayers will stand up for Social Security, stand up for Medicare, stand up for Medicaid, stand up for nutritional assistance, stand up for our children, stand up for our veterans, stand up for our seniors, stand up for our families, stand up for the American way of life. That's what House Democrats will continue to do. We will stand up today, stand up tomorrow, stand up this week, stand up next week, stand up this month, stand up next month, stand up this year, stand up next year, stand up at all times until we end this national nightmare and restore the American dream for every single person in this great land from sea to shining sea. Vote no. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back his time. Gentleman from Missouri.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Democrat leader is mistaken. We aren't currently in the dead of night. We are voting for the one big, beautiful bill.
House to be in order.
We are voting for the one big, beautiful bill first thing in the morning because the relief for working families simply can't wait and will work until the job's done, and we're going to do that. I am pleased to yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Louisiana, our Speaker, the Speaker of the House, Mr. Mike Johnson.
The gentleman from Louisiana, the Speaker of the House, is recognized for 1 minute.
After that very long and wandering speech, my friend, and after a long week and a long night and countless hours of work over the past year, a lot of prayer and a lot of teamwork, my friends, it quite literally is again morning in America, isn't it? All right, all right. And after 4 long years of President Biden's failures, President Trump's America First agenda is finally here, and we are advancing that today. What we're going to do here this morning is truly historic, and it will make all the difference in the daily lives of hardworking Americans. The Dallas waitress pulling overtime, the Detroit mom counting bills late at night, the Kentucky coal miner waiting on his second chance. These are the forgotten men and women of our country that we are all called here to serve. And the one big, beautiful bill will deliver for those people. It revives our economy. It will deliver historic tax relief. It will make the largest investment in our border security in a generation. It will unleash affordable American energy again, restore common sense to government, secure generational savings, and strengthen our national defense, while it also strengthens our essential programs like Medicaid for the people who need it the most. That's what we're doing with the One Big Beautiful Bill. To put it simply, this bill gets Americans back to winning again, and it's been a long time coming. This One Big Beautiful Bill is the most consequential legislation that any party has ever passed, certainly under a majority this thin. Legislation of this magnitude is truly nation-shaping and life-changing. It's the kind of transformational change that future generations will study one day. They'll look back at this day as a turning point in American history. And it's exactly what we were sent here to do. Let the record show that when the House Democrats vote in a few moments, this is what they'll be voting for. Their vote will show that they are apparently for the largest tax increase in the history of our country. They will be voting for, when they vote against this bill, waste, fraud, and abuse. They will be voting against safer communities, American energy dominance, and American strength on the world stage. And today wouldn't be possible without the leadership of arguably the most powerful and the most successful and the most respected president in the modern era of the United States. Our Democrat colleagues mock the objective truth We were delivered unified government, my friends, in November. The White House, the Senate, and the House were delivered to the party on this side of the aisle. So you can laugh all you want, all right? None of this would be possible without the leadership of the 45th and the 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. And it would not be possible without the really hard work of the men and women on this side of the aisle. I just want to name our chairman of our House committees that produced and did all the hard work to produce the big, beautiful bill. Scripture says we give honor where honor's due, Mr. Leader, and we're going to do that here quickly. Chairman G.T. Thompson of the Agriculture Committee, Chairman Mike Rogers of the Armed Services Committee, Chairman Jody Arrington of the Budget Committee, Chairman Tim Walberg, Education and Workforce Committee, Chairman Brett Guthrie, Energy and Commerce Committee, Chairman French Hill, Financial Services Committee, Chairman Mark Green, Homeland Security Committee, Chairman Jim Jordan, Judiciary Committee, Chairman Bruce Westerman, Natural Resources Committee, Chairman James Comer, Oversight and Accountability Committee, Chairman Sam Graves, Transportation and Infrastructure, Chairman Jason Smith, Ways and Means Committee. And I want to make special mention of Chairwoman Virginia Fox of the Rules Committee, who, by my count, sat in that chair and led that Rules Committee for almost, seemed like 2 straight days, and I think she took 2 short breaks. She's the Iron Lady of the House, and I'm so grateful for all their hard work. See, the beauty of what we produced with the one big, beautiful bill over here is that this was a team effort. This was men and women who were elected to come here, the duly elected representatives of the people back home. They rolled up their sleeves. They got down in the trenches. We began this effort over a year ago. It was actually March of last year because we anticipated and we believed that we would be delivered unified government, that we would have a Republican leader in the White House, Donald J. Trump, that we would have the Senate and the House, that we would have that moment of opportunity. And so we planned and we worked and we locked arms together as a team, and we have delivered this against all odds. The media has tried to divide us. They've written our eulogy about 10 times. And you know what? Sometimes it's good to be underestimated, isn't it? But we got this done, and I'm so proud of the work of every member of this House Republican Conference who worked in their committees. Every single member had a say in this. Every single constituent, the millions of people that are represented here, have their voices and their interests reflected because we did this together as a team, and it's quite an achievement. I just want to say that all that tireless work has led to the hard work of crafting this legislation, and we've been ready since day one to deliver on this agenda. Unified control of government is a rare mandate. It doesn't happen very often. It's happened just 3 times for our party in the last half century. We do not take it for granted. And we are delivering on that mandate here today. The American people gave us a mandate in November. They sent a message with their vote. They gave this side of the aisle the power, and we're going to use it to make their lives better. What we're achieving here today is nothing short of historic, and that's true. House Republicans are getting it done again. In the Republican Party, see, we believe in a simple principle. We believe that America really is a shining city on a hill. Ronald Reagan used to talk about that. He was referencing Scripture. He understood that America is exceptional. He understood that, as it says right there above the speaker's rostrum, our national motto, that we trust in God. And God is our trust. These are the things that make our nation exceptional. And the people of our country, they deserve better. We've been working hard to deliver so that the people of our country see this again as a shining city on a hill, and that people around the world see us for who we should be. One thing that we can all agree on both sides of the aisle is that a strong America is good for everybody all around the world. All of us together, regardless of party, we're called here to stand together and to defend those freedoms and to defend those foundations that made us the greatest nation in the history of the world. All of us have to look and recognize that the shine has not been on that city in a while. We're here to restore it. And this piece of legislation, as large as it is and as historic as it is, will do that very thing. Now look, we're accomplishing a big thing here today, but we know this isn't the end of the road just yet. We've been working closely with Leader Thune and our Senate colleagues, the Senate Republicans, to get this done and delivered to the President's desk by our Independence Day. That's July 4th. Today proves that we can do that, and we will do that. And it doesn't matter how much the media doubts this or how much the Democrats, give us their narratives. Doesn't matter how long the speeches are. It doesn't change the facts. We're delivering, and we're doing it in a big way. So to our friends in the Senate, I would just say the President is waiting with his pen. The American people are waiting for this relief. They are waiting for these life-changing results, and we are going to finish this job. This is a historic moment that we will be talking to our children and our grandchildren about, and everyone will remember. America's back. I yield back.
Gentleman from Massachusetts with 2 minutes remaining.
I yield back.
Gentleman yields back his time. Gentleman from Missouri with 2 minutes remaining.
I yield back.
Gentleman from Missouri yields back. All time for debate has expired. Pursuant to House Resolution 436, the previous question is ordered on the bill as amended. The question is on engrossment and third reading of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Ayes have it. Third reading.
A bill to provide for reconciliation pursuant to Title II of House Concurrent Resolution 14.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Massachusetts seek recognition?
I ask for a recorded vote, Mr. Speaker. Okay.
I'm sorry. For what purpose does the gentlelady from Massachusetts seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I have a motion to recommit at the desk.
The clerk will report the motion.
Mr. Han of Massachusetts moves to recommit the bill H.R. 1 to the Committee on the Budget.
Pursuant to Clause 2B of Rule 19, the previous question is ordered on the motion to recommit. The question is on the motion. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. Opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Gentlelady from
Mr. Speaker, I ask for the yeas and nays.
Yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. Sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. Pursuant to Clause 9 of Rule 20, this 15-minute vote on the motion to recommit will be followed by 5-minute votes on passage of H.R. 1 if ordered, and the motion to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 1701 if ordered. This is a 15-minute vote. On this vote, the yeas are 212, the nays are 216. The motion is not adopted. The question is on passage of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The ayes have it. The gentleman from Massachusetts.
I ask for the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. Sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic devices. It's a 5-minute vote.
One minute remaining.
On this vote, the yeas are 215, the nays are 214, with one answering present. The bill is passed.
USA, USA.
Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the question on suspending the rules and passing H.R. 1701, which the clerk will report by title.
H.R. 1701, a bill to require the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of State to monitor efforts by the People's Republic of China to build or buy strategic foreign ports and for other purposes.
Will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill? So many as are in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the question on suspending the rules. The House. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the question on suspending the rules and passing H.R. 1969 as amended, which the clerk will report by title.
Union Calendar Number 76, H.R. 1969, a bill to amend and reauthorize the Staff Sergeant Parker Gordon Fox Suicide Prevention Grant Program of the Department of Veterans Affairs.
The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill as amended? So many as are in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The chair lays before the House a communication.
The Honorable, the Speaker, House of Representatives, sir, pursuant to Section 1K of House Resolution 895, 110th Congress, and Section 4D of House Resolution 5, 119th Congress, I transmit to you notification that the following individuals each have signed an agreement not to be a candidate for the office of Senator or Representative in, or Delegate or Resident Commissioner to, the Congress for the purpose of the Federal Election Campaign Act of 1971 until at least 3 years after they are no longer a member of the board or staff of the Office of Congressional Conduct. Karen L. Haas, Grace Lieberman, Bill Luther, Lorraine C. Miller, Lynn A. Westmoreland, Omar Ashmawi, Indahara Benitez, Doctrell Cromartie, Christina Crump, Helen Eisner, Jean-Paul Theroux, Peter Tilley, and Amber Venzen. Copies of the signed agreements will be retained by the Office of the Clerk as part of the records of the House. Signed sincerely, Kevin F. McCumber, Clerk.
The chair lays before the House a communication.
The Speaker's Rooms, Washington, D.C., May 22, 2025. I hereby designate the period from Thursday, May 22, 2025 through Monday, June 2, 2025 as a district work period under Clause 13 of Rule 1. Signed, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Pursuant to Clause 13 of Rule 1 and House Resolution 435, the House stands adjourned until 10 a.m. on Friday, May 23, 2025, as a further mark of respect to the memory of the late Honorable Gerald E. Connolly.